Hi, everybody, and want to wish you a very happy weekend. And for those of you in the U.S. with Monday as a holiday celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, enjoy your extended 3-day weekend. I have a lot of information that I want to share this weekend. So I've split the information into two videos. This one will not have any of my metals or miners counts, so go find that second video if you are interested in that space. This one just focused on the major stock indices, ETFs, and some of the individual stock names that I like to follow. So as usual, want to begin with the weekly charts. And we're going to see here in SPX weekly no significant signs of warning or damage. It was actually an inside week. You can see a lower high and you can see a higher low, still significantly above all of the weekly moving average support. When we start looking at other ETFs and some individual names, there are possible signs of cracking, a little bit of caution and warning. So I don't think we have a huge amount of upside left in the tank, although I do still think I see upside in the short term. I'll talk about some of those projections. If I take you now through SPX here, drilling into the daily, I think we got that low on Friday just filled out this bull flag. So typically when you are looking to fill out bull flags, you want at least two touches top and bottom. Otherwise, it's not a true bull flag. The more touches you get, actually, the better. So we can see that this one, arguably 1, 2, 3, maybe even close on this fourth, and on the top 1, 2, 3, 4, possibly 5. So that is a bullish pattern for continuation. One of the reasons why, along with what looks to be a hammer candle that held the 21-day EMA, I do think we still have enough gas in the tank to get the SPX into the mid 3800s for this coming week. I don't see a whole lot more than that next week, possibly a pullback and then one last push, and then I think we're going to get a bigger pullback. So I think we're in the waning stages here, at least looking into the rest of January, early Feb. But then after that, I do see a very strong bullish move. I see the possibility for a big bullish move looking into the rest of quarter one into possibly part of quarter two, 2021. Okay, now closing beneath the 8-day is a warning shot. So we do have to at least be aware of a little bit of technical concern. The concern gets more severe if on a daily level, let's say Tuesday next week, we lose the 21-day EMA on a closing basis. And you're going to see that would also most likely violate my bullish wave count for this progression anyways. So those two would then go hand in hand. If I take you into that invalidation level, we almost hit it. I typically don't alter my counts until I see invalidation or extension one way or another. 37, 37, 83 is still that level. Here is the filling out, one last touch of that bull flag, I hope. I think a break and a back test at the end of the day. So that I think was actually important for us, that we didn't see continued breakdown, although we saw it in futures. So that again is enough caution to say, is that going to spill over into futures when they open Sunday night Eastern Standard Time into a half day of futures trading Monday? We got to be alert to that. But I do think if we've got a low, we've got it in place. We've got on the short term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up with the test, and then that would be moving us up into the mid 3800s for next week. At least that is my projection as of now. As always, that's the evidence I see. We got to see a few more time bars to make that solidified. Going one by one here, let's get into Qs. So weekly on the Qs, also an inside week. That should actually be no surprise. Same as SPX, it's above all of the important moving average support on the Qs, drilling into the daily and then the short term here. Again, very, very similar look. We saw close below the 8-day EMA, strike through but close above the 21-day. And although I haven't yet filled in some of the details here on the Q chart. I did want to point out this potential bull flag with another upper rail got tested twice and bounced twice. So possibly indication that sellers tried to step in and force it down even more, weren't quite successful. And then maybe this small bull flag here at the end of the day, maybe it was a sucker move before we could see some potentially strong movement. You're going to see when we get into the individual names that you can see tabbed here across the top of this window, it's kind of do or die time for these big tech names, and you're going to see that here in just a bit. I want to get you through the other major ETFs first. Let's look at IWM. Now, IWM and XLF much closer to potentially significant minor topping area, and kind of the look of an inverted candle there. A little bit of caution on IWM. Certainly experienced more selling there with XLF, and maybe a little more concerning that daily candle, that indecisive doji. I just said it's indecisive. We don't know which way it's going to break. It did bounce and hold the 8 EMA. Maybe that's all it needs to even potentially move up more aggressively for the rest of the month. But you're going to see, if I take you into the short term, also the possibility that we're setting up a three-wave corrective. So I'm leaning, again, torn a little bit, that SPX QQQ still have a valid bull setup. Here, I don't know. Do we get a first leg down, a bounce, and then are we going to ABC it down into a minor degree? We've got to just be aware of that possibility. So XLF on the week, barely up, and I don't know, is that the beginning or kind of the partial look of a gravestone doji? Not a thin enough bar, I think, to call it, but certainly a top rail rejection right at a fib hit. This is going to be interesting on XLF because we've got the big banks that are going to be reporting next week. So are we setting up for disappointment here? Has the big run-up occurred? Or is it going to be, even if earnings are good, sell the news type events? Does that mean money flows into big tech, or we get a general market sell-off? I don't know. I mean, that's really yet to be resolved. But I just want to point out for IWM and XLF the possibility here that we have actually reached a fairly significant topping location. Let's see here on the weekly. Let me get into XLF daily. I don't know, maybe a concerning candle, not quite a doji, not right in the middle of that, but a little bit of a concern on that gap down and then into the shorter term time frames. We did see a rail hold, so that does at least let me think here. We have that move up, a hold, a bounce, hold, bounce, and so could we get some more resolution? That would be, from the short-term perspective, the more optimistic look going into those major earnings reports coming up next week. Okay, let's get back to the weekly charts, and let's take a look at Apple. Okay, so Apple here on the weekly has potentially an inverted bullish weekly candle look right on important 8-week EMA support. You're going to see again, though, an alternate count that it could be in the stages of a minor correction. Let's drill down into that on the daily. And we'll see here with Apple on the daily, it just held on a closing basis. It's 34-day EMA. We see some of those EMAs above it start to roll over, and it's very, very close to invalidating this current count. 126.38 would be my stop. 125.95, not much below that, but really this is the one here. If 121.99 breaks, that's when you got to move this bearish target out in time. We could still see a move down into the low 120s and still maintain our bullish posture. So here we are again, a little bit of indecisive nature on some of these charts. Let's look in quickly to the short term, and you're going to see that just zoomed in a little bit more. Here you really see, for the nested count, it's do or die. We can't lose these levels staggered back. All of them are a series of higher lows, starting with 120.15. We've kind of laddered it up, and you're going to see it's really make or break. And if it's make, I think it's going to be big. Unfortunately, just with the weakness that we saw end of week, I can't give you a strong probability for that, but want to just say it's there. And then here's that minor degree pullback if that's needed. Get you through a few more weekly charts here. I opened last week's video with Apple and Facebook, and I said, oh, maybe we've got some safety here by Facebook closing above its 21 week, and then look what happened. Okay, just a nasty week in Facebook. So just because you see a weekly support close above or below doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to see it. Facebook here at a potential double bottom place. On the short term, it looks like we got a nice bounce. Do have a more typical fib target if Facebook just can't get off the mat. Let me just jump right into that short term, skip the daily on Facebook into the short term. And this is actually counted really well in my projections here, nearly to the penny on projecting a potential bearish count here in blue on Facebook. Did we just see enough for a subdegree wave 4 with continued selling? Well, if we get the bearish resolution in futures spilling over into Tuesday, that's the count for it. Otherwise, although I still have the labelings for a triangle here, I don't think that would actually, that triangle count's no longer valid. That would be a double bottom intermediate wave, and we're looking for the initiation 1-2 up. So a higher low that holds this 244.61 could be an entry if you're thinking that you're willing to play at least a range play on Facebook back to the 265 pivot. A few other weeklies here. Let's talk about Amazon. And Amazon certainly alerted to the concern of a close under its 21-week EMA. Now, you saw Facebook the week before. I said, well, it closed above it. Maybe that's bullish. No. Here, can you definitely say a close below is bearish? The answer is also no. Okay, we've got to see more price bar playing out. So far, it's worked its way almost all the way to the apex of this triangle, which tells me a big move is coming. Is it going to go up or down? I don't know. I wish I could tell you I'd make a lot of money off of it. My bias still with the general market is up. I think it could be aggressively up. Let me just jump you right into that short-term count that you're going to see. The nested count is still valid. Okay, so we can't quite see all of it, but it's worked its way all the way down into what I believe would be called the nano degree. As long as we see 30.86 and then staggering this back, you're going to see a 30.72 all the way staggered back. Should have just shown it more quickly to you on the daily. Let me do that now. Sorry for that little bit of wasted time. You'll see the staggered nested set. There's 30.86, 30.72, 30.65. So it's relatively tight to where it closed. And, we're right at the bottom of that range that I had tweeted out. If over the last 2 months, all you did was buy the bottom and sell the top, buy the bottom, sell the top, you could have done that 4 times. Is it going to happen again? I took a small chance again. We're going to see a couple contracts for January 29th. We're going to see if they play out. Other than that, not a real active week for me. But again, if it breaks, it's going to break big. Let me get you into the weekly on Microsoft. And Microsoft, we saw moving average loss. So although I was optimistic this was a bullish hammer, on that weekly, nothing's guaranteed. And we found just slightly beneath 21-week support. So is that enough to hold it? Well, it held it here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. It was enough for me to go ahead and take a chance at the end of the day. I did enter on Microsoft. Let me show you again. I've said it's make or break time for these names. Look at the nested set, 212, slightly below it, 209, 208. I mean, there it is. So a big bad bearish move could obliterate all of it in a day. If it's going to go, it's going to go big. So in this case, with a tight risk level, I thought it was worth taking a chance. Now, of course, the big risk is a massive gap down. So that is what obviously leverage positions are not looking for, is that big gap down. Are we going to see it? Who knows? But the potential, at least we need to be aware of both ways. So no more weekly charts there. I want to go ahead and finish out a little bit of the tech roundup. Let me just show you on the short term where I think Tesla is. I have Tesla having completed a minute degree 4 as the last part of minor 5 of a primary wave, completing at the end of the day a subdegree wave 2. So I am still bullish Tesla. Let's see what we get for resolution. And you're going to see on GOOG a similar setup, a nested 1-2. So again, you've got a fairly tight risk level that you can trade against. 16.99 on GOOG and on Tesla 803. So although a painful day on Friday, end of some individual names strong, but for the most part, some general pain, you did at least by the end of the day have known levels to trade against. Let me take you through some other individual names that I want to talk about. Netflix, you're going to see another 1-2 nest. So in the tech space, minor 1-2, minute 1-2. Is this going to be good enough to hold? It's got earnings on Tuesday. So how are we going to do? We're going to set the tone. Again, there's your stop level there. Let's take a look at BYND. So BYND putting in an amazing move this week. Not surprised at all to see it kind of stopped a little bit here at the 142 to 144 pivot. I'm actually looking on BYND for an ABC down. So I wonder if some of these names, we could see an ABC down. I would look for the 130 level as a buy entry. Okay, in a similar way, I want to show you Zoom. So Zoom, I think, put in a primary degree low. If I had the daily up for you, you'd see that noticeable divergence, a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. Would love to see Zoom get down, let's say, into the 360s over the mid part of the coming week. A retest of that 200 period MA would be a place for me to load up. Let me get you into ROKU. Just what a beast. But is this a topping candle? So I wanted to point this out in ROKU. We have here, we have an outside candle. So is this evidence that ROKU is going to pull back? Again, I would load the boat. If we got a pullback here into these fibs, I think this would be an amazing opportunity. Is big tech going to go up while some of these names go down? I don't know. See, that's the worry there. It's just unsure how that money's going to rotate. Is it going to rotate out of smallies and some of these growth darlings and into big tech? I don't know. We just got to wait and see. I just want to show you the counts and some evidence here. How about DraftKings? So DraftKings, I think a deep wave 4, depending on if you count this as an expanded flat 2 here or here, it didn't actually violate wave 1. But in a minor 1 up, you can have a 4 trade into 1. You can never have a 4 trade into 1 in any degree of a wave 3, but you can here with a minor 1. Or do we have an ABC going down? Okay, so again, you've seen here BYND, Zoom, ROKU, DraftKings, potentially of ABCs, and I got to show you another one, Space. Now on the daily, really nice cup and handle, but have we filled out enough of the handle? Okay, if we haven't on Space, then we're going to see an ABC possibly lower. It's also possible on Space that that's done, that we got that low here below 30 as a 1-2. So I did enter some calls again at the end of the day on Virgin Galactic, on SPCE, thinking maybe this is a known risk level, could try to play into this last at 5 up with this blue count into a really nice aggressive target. Okay, 2 more names on here that I'll finish with. Had a lot of good questions this week about Salesforce. I really like the bottoming process here on CRM. I think we've got divergence in place, RSI and MACD. Could it see a poke down to test that rail and the 200 SMA? It certainly could. If we see some of these downward moves that these charts might be alluding to, I think that would be an excellent entry point on Salesforce. And we'll finish here with Alibaba. And I've been talking a lot about this one, that maybe it's approaching both a fib and a moving average area that could send it down again. We're going to see. Okay, I'm not now in this name. I actually profited on some puts on this move. Did not buy back in. So far, it looks like 1, 2, 3. If it's going to be an aggressive move up, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if the blue count gets resolved. Okay, so not solidly aligned, bull or bear either way. You're seeing a little bit of caution. I don't think a position, again, like I said last week, to be overly aggressive one way or another. Technical levels yet to fail on the longer time frames for SPX and QQQ, possibly seeing pullback areas in some of the small cap financial and some of the growth names. So it's going to be really interesting. Everyone's going to be watching futures Sunday into the Monday half day. Let's see what happens. Be on your toes as always. You've got your charts, you've got your levels. It'll be exciting to see how it plays out. Have a great one.